What's good, everybody? It's your girl, Miss Giselle, and this is the Black Table Conversations with Miss Giselle. Today, we have Mr. Khaleef Alexander in the building. Say hey, everybody. You can say hey to everybody,
Hey, what's going on? Peace and reparations, everybody. How y'all doing?
please. Yes, I was so excited when we scheduled your interview, and because it's so many amazing things that you've done throughout Philly, well,
Yes.
in Pennsylvania, and I want you to kind of like tell your story. With that said, let's find out who Mr. Khaleef Alexander is. Tell us about who you are, where you come from.
So yeah, I like to always tell people I'm just a regular, normal guy from Philly, born and raised. I've, I was always just interested in, trying to figure out what was going on in our community and with our people, especially like as a kid. They used to call me like a little Malcolm X when I was young because I would just I will always, fight the quote unquote authorities or like fight the powers that may be for like these various points that I feel like that were, important. And now looking back at it, I'm like, man, good thing I've been fighting this whole time because, with the intellectual power that I have now and, the material that I have, debating and just having intellectual discourse with people. I've been doing that so long. But pretty much, I started off just getting people registered to vote at community basketball games with my mentor back in 2012. Like that was like how I started doing this thing. Like we used to, you know, he used to take guys from the neighborhood, and I remember it was a basketball court that wasn't like ideal. It wasn't in an ideal neighborhood, but he got it paid and he got it fixed up, and he created a summer league. And down in the summer league, we used to do voter registration, so you couldn't play in the summer league if you wasn't registered to vote. And that was big then because this was before it was a popular thing to get black folk young. This is before it was popular for young black people to get other young black people registered to vote. So I started doing that, and then that was kind of like my first form into activism, like just being civically engaged in the community. And then from there, I just been on this journey. We could talk about so many different things, but that's pretty much how the journey started. And I'm happy to still be here, still standing, and still working and building with the people.
Well, I want to say that is so dope. That is amazing. So they like, and you know what? That's so many other people's stories from the hood. Like I ain't gonna say the hood specifically, but around the way. That's the story. They're like, you know what? I went to the community center, and I feel so bad because so many community centers here in Baltimore they kind of like to shut down. They did
Right.
start opening them up like a few years back, but it was so much time lost for the people who could have really benefited from it. So I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about what this push that you guys did to make Juneteenth a
Oh yeah.
event in Philly. What did you
So,
guys?
so Juneteenth, I always tell people, always with Juneteenth, I started with a guy, his name is Ron Brown. His name is Mr. Juneteenth. I met him when I was a teenager. And basically, Ron Brown, he's been working on Juneteenth for the past 30 years. Like before Juneteenth was, as some will say, commercialized and different things of that nature, Ron Brown was working on Juneteenth when nobody knew what he was talking about. And what happened is, Juneteenth became a state holiday in 2019. It passed in 2019. Yeah, I believe 2019. Governor Tom Wolf he signed it into law, and I started working really closely with Ron Brown. That's the Juneteenth Coalition, Pennsylvania Juneteenth Coalition, who's also part of the National Juneteenth Observation. So pretty much, that's kind of how I got introduced into Juneteenth and the National Juneteenth Observation. They were doing a petition around creating Juneteenth as a national holiday. These are elders, like they're not organizers, they're not lobbyists. These are like older community activists or just really community people. Like I don't even look at older people as community activists. I just look at them as people who just care about their community.
Right.
But they were nationwide, in Texas, and one of the leading catalysts was a woman named Opal Lee, who was from Galveston, Texas, and she was actually doing this work. She was 95 years old. She
Wow.
would go on like a walk. She would take a walk, like she would do a walk for how long would the walk be? It would be dang, I don't want to get misquoted on her. She would do like a certain mileage of a walk to like represent she would do a certain mileage of walking to represent, that the walk that the those soldiers came down from, when those soldiers came down to free the last enslaved people. So she would do like that would be her thing, and pretty much, we helped push that petition out online. When we got the petition in our hand, it was out for about like 8 months. Me and my organization, Millennial Juneteenth. That's my group of people that I worked with here in Philadelphia. And pretty much when we got the petition had about 8,000 signatures.
Wow.
This was on June 1st, 2020. On June 19th, 2020, the petition was now up to 150,000 signatures via the online push because it had never touched online. Remember, I told you a lot of these, they were older activists, so they didn't have the materials, information to get it out there via social media. And this is around the time George Floyd was, a big thing on social media for people who are newly woke, as some will say. So when we sent it out, we wound up getting up to 150,000 signatures, and it became bigger. It became a big momentum. We wound up ending with like 1 million signatures on a petition, and eventually it became a national holiday. So I always like to say, I'm very proud to have done some, different type of organizing around Juneteenth becoming a national holiday, but also at the same time, working with elders and getting an understanding on how some of this stuff go, and realizing what their roles are, what my role is, and what, newer roles that we need amongst the movement. So that's kind of, that was a good firsthand experience for me at a young age, because I don't think a lot of people have fundamental learning styles fundamental learning capabilities rather, when it comes to these nuances and organizing and, their role in the movement. I'll say that. So I think that taught me that, and I was 24 and 23 years old around this time. So that's taught me a lot of stuff for now as I'm fighting for reparations and various different things. Now it gave me some foundation.
I love that. So would you consider yourself a reparationist now at this point in the
Absolutely, absolutely. The reparationist is will be the leading catalyst to change in the Black community in this country. So you got to be a reparationist.
I love it. And I agree. I am too a reparationist. Now, with that said, we're going to hold these thoughts and we're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back right back in a shake or two. So we'll be right back. And we're back with Mr. Khaleef Alexander. And we were just talking about being a reparationist. And speaking of reparationists, let's talk about what's happening over in Cali. Did you watch have you been watching the hearing over the last?
Yeah, I've been tuned in. I was tuned in a little bit today, a little bit yesterday. I was tuned in a lot more last month. Very interesting. I'm glad that, it's a public forum, so a lot of people around the nation can really tune in and really begin to, put boots on the ground in their prospective locations and implement something similar to what's going on. Because California is definitely leading the way on this reparations thing. So, we got to take the mantle from them and, do the same thing where we live at.
Yeah, and I think more people should tune in to the hearing. Like it's a lot of information, and it's even though it's long, it's really good stuff that's being said there. So, but with that said, do you have any like anything coming up future wise, just community effort?
Future things going on in the community at the moment. I will say I don't have too much. I will say one of the biggest things that I will be doing is going to be a bounce off from some of the work that we did in the summer. We're going to be looking to do two things. One, we're looking to implement the Juneteenth flag at various locations around the city, whether it be community centers, rec centers. And once we implement the flag there, we're looking to pretty much utilize it for what it is. We want to be able to put different resources in those rec centers and those community centers where the Juneteenth flag is. So people can see the Batman sign and they'll know, okay, Batman's coming. You see the Juneteenth flag, you know, or I can possibly go in here and get a job. I can possibly come in here and get a resource. I can possibly go in here and get me a free lawyer or free legal advice. I can come in here and possibly get something notarized. So these various different services that some may take granted for, you know, we can now say we have them in our community under the guidelines of this flag, which is freedom. And that all boils back down to, you know, some type of reparations task force here in my city, my municipality of Philadelphia. When we're looking at, you know, California was able to get a reparations task force because they have a blue House and a blue Senate in California in their state house in their state. So in Pennsylvania, we don't have that. We have Republican is Republican led and the governor that is Democrat. But at least in the municipality in Philadelphia, we have the luxury of having 15 Democrats serving as council and one third party and one Republican. So in order for us to get a reparations task force, we only need a certain amount of votes, which isn't difficult because these people are black. Now it's about challenging people who claim to be black, and we don't even have to go into, you know, the different, you know, intangibles on blackness, but who just claim to be black off a phenotype. So when we challenge you with political information and political legislation, you know, and we say this is what we want. And if you say that you are committed to racial injustice and social equality and all of these fancy terminologies that people are saying, then when I go to put a reparations task force in front of your desk, after the election, we have an election here, I think it's November 2nd. After that election, then we'll be putting out the letter to each council member and also to the mayor of the city of Philadelphia to announce to them that we are looking to start a reparations task force here in Philadelphia, and we need the support of various organizations around the country, various organizations in the city of Philadelphia to sign up. We're going to do a letter, and on that letter, you know, we're going to disclose everything that we would like, various information on there, and then also we're going to talk about mayors for reparations, which is something that's going on around the country right now. And we would just hope that various organizations can sign off in agreement, because the more numbers we have is strength in numbers. Really quick, I don't even want to go too long on around, but just the other day when those people came at Dave Chappelle, and it was the National Black Justice Coalition, which is a quote unquote various organizations that came at Dave Chappelle, not just one, if that makes sense. So if I'm coming at the municipality government of Philadelphia, it's great for Khaleef Alexander to come at them and say, yo, I need reparations. But it's better if Khaleef Alexander, under the guidelines of this organization, with these organizations in support of what they're doing for reparations, now it makes it stronger. It's more of a movement. And it's not just one man, it's thousands of people in a sense. So that's kind of like the goal and the guidelines of what we're looking to do. And, you know, my goal is to really get a reparations resolution and the potential task force started in 2022. So yeah, that's pretty much all.
Yeah, I think they took it way out of proportion with that. With that, so. But the last thing that I want you to talk about is how you were able to, what you did this year to get that flag raised at City Hall.
Oh, City Hall.
You guys do like how, like I know you guys are doing these pushes and pushing the reparations. Now, how were you able to get that done?
So with that, we actually had it was some elders. They had a relationship with somebody on council, and they wanted to get the Juneteenth flag raised. And the Juneteenth flag, for many of those that don't know, was created by Ben Haith from Boston, Massachusetts, who was he's like a big time organizer, activist. He's a guy who's been doing work in the community in Boston for over 40 years at this point. Ben Haith, he's one of the people who's like one of the forerunners of the Juneteenth movement. But also at the same time, he initially got the flag raised in 2000. The flag was created in 1997, and then in 2000 he got the flag raised in Boston at a municipality for the first time in country's history. So you know, we really knew and I knew really that we had to control this narrative of what Juneteenth is and what it's about. So you know, getting it raised at City Hall was like, nah, we here. Like it's like one of those type of things. Like yo, we here. Like we're creating our own thing. That we're creating our own narrative. This is what Juneteenth is about. You know, and this is what Juneteenth stands for. This is the person who created the Juneteenth flag. We are the forerunners of Juneteenth.
Right.
Nobody else is the forerunner of Juneteenth. Nobody else can co-opt this movement on independence and different things of that nature. Because without, I always tell people, after you get Juneteenth in 1865, then there comes Cali House. So this is all always interconnected, intertwined. You can't have mental freedom or physical freedom without being a reparationist,
Right.
and that's what takes us to another level in today's society. So, when we raise the Juneteenth flag, we know that represents freedom. That's Freedom Day for us.
Thanks. And symbolism is so much because when they conquer, like when these countries conquer a location, even when they went to the moon, what's the first thing they did? They sunk
Mm-hmm.
their flag into the moon. They put their
Absolutely.
flag into the soil of the land that they were able to conquer. So that I think symbolically it shows we are already in the process of winning. And we would never allow Juneteenth to get commercialized. Of course, people are gonna make things from it or whatever, but we're gonna control that
Yeah.
narrative. It's up to us to keep that under our control. If we lose it, it's our
It's our fault if we lose it.
right.
Honestly, like we're
Exactly.
not doing something right.
Now, saying that, what would you like to leave with everyone? Like, what would you suggest to anyone who wants to get involved in Philly? Like some of the, I ain't gonna say some of the best, but some locations who need volunteers, who need people who may want to do something, but
I would say maybe not just Philly, but people like people reparationists organizers everywhere is one of those types of things where as though this is specifically for the reparationists. When we look at organizing, we have to look at people who are actively engaged in the community. I like to say people who are reparationists might have the best game, but they don't might not have the best skill. Just cause I can hoop, that don't mean I can do everything on the court. That don't mean I'm not best team player. I can hoop, but I might not be good for this team because I haven't taken my ego down or I haven't taken my confidence level down. I haven't you get what I'm saying? So when it comes down to, us being reparationists, we got the best. I like to say we got the best game around. We got the best J, the best fadeaway, all that. But we have to learn how to be better team players in our various locations in which we live in, because the people in the communities in which we live in, those are the people that are really organizing already. Those are the people who have community already.
right.
Honestly, reparationists, I'm on the younger end of reparations, but most reparationists are Generation X. Like from what I've noticed, there's a lot of Generation X. Maybe it's definitely some millennials there, of course, but a
Oh,
lot of
the
people.
millennials are definitely on the rise. I would
Yeah,
say.
we definitely on the rise in the movement, but I would say like the forerunners of the reparations movement have been Generation X people. And when I'm looking at it, and as I'm seeing it, I'm just saying, as we organize, we got to organize with people who are actively engaged in community, whether it be around violence, whether it be around poverty, whether it be around drugs, because you can't just go nowhere and say, all right, we got reparations. This is the
Right.
best thing. They got something that makes sense what you got going on, but you gotta make it where as though it just makes sense for both parties to begin to work together and all parties to work together, because ultimately everybody's end game is to help reestablish and redevelop the black community. So
I can respect
that's pretty
that.
much
I
all.
can respect that perspective 100. Now, with that said, it's been an absolute pleasure, Khaleef. I wish you could do more, but when you finish your little project that you're working, and I said little, your huge project. It would sound like the old guy that just left the building. When you finish your huge project, I want you back here so we can put it out there, and so that we can, like, anybody that can help can join in, because I think a lot of people, they are okay with being worker bees. They just need to know where to go.
Right.
My goal is to get as many people in contact with the people who are doing and putting in the work, as well as
Absolutely.
like the black businesses. Black businesses, that's the biggest thing too. Pouring the money back into those. Now, with that
Absolutely.
said, we do appreciate you for stopping by, and definitely peace, love, and reparations.
Peace, love, and reparations. Have a good one.
You too.